just want to talk about your motivations for wanting to serve on boards and the timing on when to begin your board career. So I speak to a lot of executives who are thinking about a board career, or maybe they've been, encouraged or counseled by their peers, their colleagues to begin a board career. And my first question is always, what is motivating you to serve on boards? And, the answers are always quite interesting, but there's a lot of self-serving reasons why people often come to my table asking for board appointments and looking for board appointments. And, the reality is that board work is really, it's a selfless act. It's hard work. It's nowhere near as glamorous as what I think a lot of people make it out to be. It can be financially rewarding in the long term, but in the early days, board careers are often unpaid. There's a lot of volunteer board work that, transpires. Yes, you are serving and leading an organisation at the highest level, but, there's not a lot in it for executives. And I find that a lot of people think they're going to gain a lot of financial reward. They think it's, the natural step to sort of, further their careers. Other people have done it, so they think they should do it. And sometimes the motivations are just not in keeping with really the reality of the scenario. So you want to really think about what's motivating you to do it, because if it's just for, ego and grandstanding, those things will fall away pretty quickly once you get into the reality of the board work and what's required. There's a complete myth that you just attend 8 board meetings a year and you've got all this flexibility and you can, sort of set and forget, and it's the retirement gravy train. But the reality is very different. You're on call 24/7. Every week, if there's a problem in that business, you're going to be on call. If there's a CEO who resigns, you're going to be involved. If there's a creditor issue, you're going to be involved. If there's a problem with the strategy or the execution, you're going to be involved. And, you've got to be across the business financials, the livelihood of that business, all the issues that go on, whether there be legal matters on foot, financial matters on foot, and so on. And obviously, you're always trying to grow a business. Now, that just doesn't happen by attending 8 board meetings a year. There is a lot of sidebar conversations. There's a lot of committee meetings. Committees are often where the real work happens, and people don't realize this. They come to me and they want to add an extra board seat into the portfolio, but they haven't thought about how many extra meetings that's going to add to the equation, plus the fact you're on call 24/7. So, you've really got to get clear on the motivations, and you really want to have that kind of servant leadership mentality overall. The finances will eventually take care of themselves, but certainly in the early days, most people are serving for very modest levels of income. So if income is your driver, this might not be the immediate sort of step for you to consider. The other thing I'm finding is a lot of people are trying to start their board careers way too early. Everyone's kind of got onto this bandwagon, and there's a lot of incorrect advice in the market that anyone can serve on a board of directors. That's just not true at all. The people who serve on the board of directors are typically people who have worked at C-suite level. They've worked at the most senior levels of the organisation. Keep in mind that the board sits above the C-suite. So the board is the pinnacle, the highest level of the organisation. The board sets the strategic direction for the organisation. The board is there to govern. The board is there to manage the risks in the enterprise. So if you are, a project manager, realistically, can you see yourself sitting above the CEO and directing the CEO in the organisation? No, it's not going to happen. So we've got this kind of misconnect happening at the moment, where we've got a lot of very junior candidates who really should just be focused on their C-suite board career pathway, should be getting some more runs on the board, and they're trying to start their board career too early. Now, I'm not going to say that you might have some highly specialized skills and you might be able to serve on an advisory board, you might be able to serve on a not-for-profit board, but you've got to understand the paradigm. The board sits above the CEO and the senior leadership team. If you're down here in the business, in the rank and the file, it's not that realistic that you're going to serve on the board of directors. Even if you've got a specialist skill set, like, say, for example, cyber security or artificial intelligence, you're more likely to go on to potentially an advisory board or a committee where you would be advising the board of directors, okay? So just get the paradigm right in terms of when is the right time to start your board career. Sometimes it's better just to put the emphasis on, securing, further advancement in your corporate life, building up your credentials, getting P&L responsibility, having more exposure to the business, being involved in risk management, being right across all the different functions of the business. The more experience you can build up, and obviously if you are serving in the C-suite, that might be the appropriate time to start to think about commencing that board career. For female candidates, it might be that you're at executive director level. We don't have as many females serving as CEOs, so there's a little bit of latitude there. But if you're serving as a senior executive in the business, then you could start to think about realistically starting your board career.